God is love. Romans 13:10. Love does no evil to the neighbor. Love is the fulfillment of the law. Matt 5:17. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them but to fulfill them. Loving God in all with all our faculties fulfills the law. John 15:10. If you keep my commands, you will remain in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commands and remain in his love. 1 John 4:7-8. Beloved, let us love one another, because love is of God. Everyone who loves is begotten by God and knows God. Whoever is without love does not know God, for God is love. 1 John 4:16-21. God is love, and whoever remains in love remains in God and God in him. In this is love brought to perfection among us, that we have confidence on the day of judgment, because as he is, so are we in this world. There is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear, because fear has to do with punishment, and so one who fears is not yet perfect in love. We love because he first loved us. If anyone says, love God, but hates his brother, he is a liar. For whoever does not love a brother whom he has seen cannot love God whom he has not seen. This is the commandment we have from him. Whoever loves God must also love his brother. Matt 22:34-40. When the Pharisees heard that he had silenced the Sadducees, they gathered together, and one of them, a scholar of the law, tested him by asking, Teacher, which commandment in the law is the greatest? He said to him, You shall love the Lord, your God, with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the greatest and the first commandment. The second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. The whole law and the prophets depend on these two commandments. Mark 12:28-34. One of the scribes, when he came forward and heard them disputing and saw how well he had answered them, asked him, Which is the first of all the commandments? Jesus replied, The first is this, Hear, O Israel. The Lord our God is Lord alone. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. The second is this, You shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these. Scribes said to him, Well said, Teacher. You are right in saying, He is one and there is no other than He. And to love Him with all your heart, with all your understanding, with all your strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself is worth more than all burnt offerings and sacrifices. And when Jesus saw that he answered with understanding, he said to him, You are not far from the kingdom of God. And no one dared to ask him any more questions. Luke 10:24. There was a scholar of the law who stood up to test him and said, Teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life? Jesus said to him, What is written in the law? How do you read it? He said in reply, You shall love the Lord, your God, with all your heart, with all your being, with all your strength, and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself. He replied to him, You have answered correctly. Do this and you will live. Deuteronomy 6:4. Hear, O Israel. The Lord is our God, the Lord alone. Therefore, you shall love the Lord your God, with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your strength. Take to heart these words, which I enjoin on you today. Drill them into your children. Speak of them at home and abroad, whether you are busy or at rest. Bind them at your wrist as a sign and let them be as a pendant on your forehead. Write them on the doorposts of your houses and on your gates. 1 Cor 13. If I speak in human and angelic tongues but do not have love, I am a resounding gong or a clashing cymbal. and if I have the gift of prophecy and comprehend all mysteries and all knowledge, if I have all faith so as to move mountains but do not have love, I am nothing. If I give away everything I own, and if I hand my body over so that I may boast but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. It is not jealous. Is not pompous. It is not inflated. It is not rude. It does not seek its own interests. It is not quick-tempered. It does not brood over injury. It does not rejoice over wrongdoing but rejoices with the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never fails. If there are prophecies, they will be brought to nothing. If tongues, they will cease. If knowledge, it will be brought to nothing. For we know partially, and we prophesy partially, but when the perfect comes, the partial will pass away. When I was a child, I used to talk as a child, think as a child, reason as a child. When I became a man, I put aside childish things. Present we see indistinctly, as in a mirror, then face to face. At present I know partially, then I shall know fully, as I am fully known. So, faith, hope, love remain, these three, but the greatest of these is love. Are you ready to learn the second part of the loving God with all our faculties commandment that Jesus and God emphasize, which is, what is love? Breathing is one of, if not the most compelling and primary connections we have with nature, the omniverse/God. When we are in the womb, our biological mother, through the umbilical cord, meets our basic needs and breathes for us. At birth, one of the body's first concerns is breathing. If it does not start immediately upon exiting the womb, there will be urgency in the people involved with the birth to ensure that it does begin, or the child will die. Once breathing, we then start our independence from our physical mothers while continuing our lifelong connection with nature as our new mother and life support in the air we breathe through the mouth and nostrils into our lungs. Of course, biological mother may continue feeding us through her breast, as in the womb, which are both nourished by the omniverse/God/nature and eventually weaning us off the breasts and showing us how to be fed directly by our new parents, Mother Nature and Father God. If we stop the breathing connection with the omniverse/God/nature completely, the consciousness or spirit will leave our bodies in a short time, which is about 4 to 6 minutes depending on person, available oxygen in the body at the time breathing stops, current metabolism, and possibly ambient temperature. During intense physical activity or anaerobic activity, our muscles use the oxygen available within the muscles of the body. If it is not replaced fast enough through breathing, lactic acid accumulates, and a burning sensation is felt, which we will call muscle hell. Lactic acid can be reconverted into glycogen or muscle fuel with the restoration of oxygen through breathing. Breathing not only restores chemical balance to muscle cells in the physical body, it restores balance and peace throughout our being. Sometimes we have very shallow breathing, which causes or is caused by psychological and emotional conflicts. Hatred, anger, mania, paranoia, and depression are some of the disturbed symptoms associated with negative focused, psychologically induced, restricted breathing, oxygen deprivation or self-induced suffocation. There are two extremes in the way we breathe. One is minimized shallow breathing that generates a non-loving, suffocated, repressed denial or minimization of life in our own personal hell, straitjacket, or prison of defense mechanisms, afraid of dying or getting hurt and therefore afraid of living. The other is an open acceptance of life, love, and our world through breathing freely and consciously. Full, unrestricted breathing says yes to life with love minimized and /unrestricted breathing says no, I am afraid of life and have no trust in love. When we breathe peacefully and consciously, feeling the air passing into and out of our upper air passages and into our lungs where our life depends upon the omniverse slash God slash nature, we can become aware of a sensual loving euphoria in our nasal passages, throat, and lungs. Take a moment to relax and see if you can feel the euphoria or love in breathing by inhaling and exhaling slowly and consciously, paying attention to the feeling of the air entering and exiting our breathing passages. This is your love center. This is your intimate connection with nature, God, or the omniverse. This is our new umbilical cord. Love is our umbilical cord with life. If you are not feeling it currently, do not worry, doubt, or get frustrated. It is there. With practice and increased awareness and sensitivity, you will feel it. This is loving union or connection with nature, the omniverse, or God. If we continue conscious breathing, focused on the stimulation of this euphoric feeling, which is unconditional and unfocused love, along with the complete acceptance of life or your life, we can enjoy love if we choose. This feeling of love and peace can start from the love center or the emotional heart in breathing and continue to emanate out to and through all our body parts and faculties and then to everyone and everything in our world. Breathing love can lead the animal or conditioned human into feeling that life is good or safe even during crucifixions, character, social, emotional, physical or actual abuse, strikes on the cheek, lies, theft, etc. Some of us will realize that we have lived without thought or effort most of our lives. Others will find that the love center is and has been very repressed until now and will need psychological slash spiritual development and slash or unblocking to release the hold that fears, toxic beliefs, addictions, conscious and unconscious developmental abuses, deprivations, dissipations, excessive thinking, anger, resentments, jealousy, judgmentalism, unhealed memories or psychological skeletons in our memory closet, and fight or flight physiological muscle tensions on the diaphragm that restrict the body's natural breathing rhythm and flow. This is where we can be helped by the practice of faith, forgiveness, trust, accepting things that cannot or should not be changed, changing things that must be changed, complete honesty to another, compassionate, empathetic, forgiving person of every detail of our lives that we do not want anyone to know, healthy living, awareness of our interrelationship with all, a willingness to participate in the process of clearing the mind of all that is detrimental to harmonious loving union with all. When loving God in all, with all, or omniversal love of all, with all we have, becomes our primary means and goal, we will immediately start to distance ourselves from any or all mental and emotional illnesses until all that is left is love. Parallels or similarities will be found in the conscious breathing that is recommended for athletic events, exercise routines, martial arts, stretching, yoga, relaxation, and meditation techniques. Consciously breathing love may be the most important process toward achieving and maintaining sanity, emotional wellness, harmony, and physical health. Breathing love can be used to create an intimate and harmonious union with the world we live in, that can be continued whether there are friends or enemies in our presence, because the omniversal energy or spirit of God is you and all that is around you, all the time, including confused or disturbed enemies. When we cooperate with this love connection, we detach from many imaginary, past and future, burdens on the mind by redirecting our attention and energy to the euphoria of love in the moment. We find enriching peace and life in the present. Love self-medicating euphoria contributes to a chemical balance that gives its participants the continuous feeling that life is wonderful, beautiful, and slash or has meaning. Love is harmonious with the ever-present interrelationship with the world around us wherever we are. What often comes with this self-fulfillment is a sincere compassion and sensitivity for those that are possessed by anything other than love. is no wonder that this is what God wants from us and for us. Jesus considers loving God with all our faculties to be the greatest commandment, and Paul says, 1 Cor 13, no matter what we have in life, it is meaningless and empty without love, and it is written in 1 John 4:14, that whoever does not love remains in death. NIV Matthew 7:13-14 Enter through the narrow gate. For wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. Love of God in all, with all, is the narrow road or small gate that leads to life. Anger, hatred, fear, jealousy, delusional self-centered arrogance or narcissism without attributing everything we are to our source and sustainer, i.e., cheating, stealing, abusing ourselves and others, alcoholism, drug addictions, etc. offer plenty of options for the wide gate or broad road to destruction. Whenever we do not remain loving in the presence or absence of any person, place, activity, or thing, we will be limited and immediately discontent in varying degrees. If anyone does not remain loving in our presence or absence, they will be limited and discontent. Someone that does not remain loving in our presence or absence shall be offered love, compassion, and guidance rather than an equal and opposite loveless response when we become aware of the fact that they are or will be suffering. Rigid prejudice that refuses to love some persons, places, or things can cause toxic discontent to the point of hatred and killing, whether it comes in the form of religious observations, human-made law, racism, nationalism, public opinion, personal experience, or the faulty and imaginary personal experience of someone we think we know through the character assassination and misrepresentation of media or individual-induced gossip and slander, or viewing the world through a variety of different shade-colored glasses given to us by our family, race, nation, culture, gang, employer, media outlet, financial support, religion, politics, gender, years, social standing, etc. Consciously breathing harmonious love where you are right now as you are reading this is a sign to your being that you accept everyone and everything in your presence or God, this moment including yourself and your life. When we think thoughts that are prejudicial, toxic, fearful, resentful, guilty, or otherwise disturbed, we will notice the suffocation that these obstacles to unity cause in our being, if we are paying attention. Our freedom to move around our world in harmony is limited by the amount of people, places, or things that we are unable to remain loving with, in our imaginations or when present. When we remain loving in the presence of all, then everywhere is our home and we are closer to true freedom, or maybe the only true freedom. When we allow a person, place, thing, thought or activity to misdirect us from love, we lose grace, joy, and harmony. Entrance into heaven, if it exists, may be predicated on establishing and maintaining a loving grace that cannot be shaken in any circumstances, a love that withstands adversity called for by Jesus, Buddha, Krishna. Remain rooted in love with our ever-present, omnipresent atomically charged Spirit of God. With this love, we have a heaven on earth that does not require an afterlife version. The being or the physical animal that we are partially or wholly, can behave as if the world is at peace by consciously deciding to breathe in the manner that the physical being associates with harmonious loving union with our world. When this is practiced in all situations in life, we recondition ourselves to experience this harmonious love all the time while developing freedom as a bonus. This taming of the savage and or frightened, fight or flight, animal within us into a harmoniously euphoric childhood love unified with the omniverse God may be the primary emphasis of this writing about the second resurrection of Jesus. and to some degrees Buddha and Krishna also, or Muhammad's submission with a significant stretch of the imagination seen past the gauntlet corruptions, and on this foundation of omniversal love, all the discussions in this work are built and or compared. Breathing love leads to the fulfillment of our instinctive drive for harmonious love and our uncorrupted religious directives. Loveless lives will likely lead to some forms of corruption, addiction, or emotional disturbance on an individual and or social level as a result or substitute. A prejudicial love will corral an individual into an emotional box. When we segregate people, places, and things into those that we love, those that we may love if they would only change into what we consider lovable, those that we do not love, and those that we will never love because we consider them incapable of being what we consider lovable, we are setting ourselves up for a less than satisfactory life. People, places, and things other than ourselves will be our emotional puppeteers, with or without trying to be, dictating how we are going to feel by their presence or absence. Remaining loving in the presence or absence of all friends, strangers, and so-called enemies is a goal that will require us to leave our defensive prisons and live fully. Some or most of us may require self and or collaborative reconditioning. Maybe a reversal of a life of negative Pavlovian conditioning into a life of loving in all circumstances. Fearful doubt originates from or causes love's absence. Love is too satisfying for fearful doubt. Unconditional love immerses the lover into the omniverse/God while awakening to omnipresent oneness. When we experience the luxurious fulfillment, joy, and freedom in omniversal love, we will not want to leave the precious pearl we have found because there is no better place to be. All-encompassing harmonious loving union with the omniverse/God is the fruition, satisfaction, or completion of all our drives and struggles. Once we experience and understand love's value, Jesus' common request to give up everything and follow him will become clear. Anything that distracts, hurts, injures, and or restricts us from our new home in love will be on the list for removal or detachment from. Learning to love every part of you and turning every part of you into channels for love of God in all that surrounds us with all that we have or are. If we don't love our hands, feet, brain, legs, arms, and any other body parts or functions, we cannot love through these channels. If we do not love any part of ourselves, we cannot love God with all our faculties. Our body and being are our most intimate and constant companions and great places to start this journey from the inside and outside of ourselves in the omniverse/God. Ideas or beliefs about life are confirmed in love. Intimate love with all creates a knowing that is beyond doctrine. Love lives life. It does not need to question it without loving curiosity. Universal love or loving God with all our heart, mind, soul, and strength is a shortcut to complete evolutionary success. Harmonious loving union with the omniverse/God satisfies in our present life, and if there is an afterlife then we will also meet the requirements of admission to heaven or the requests of Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, and a few other historical figures along with common sense guiding us towards harmonious loving union with all. Omniversal love produces faith in life without effort. Faith in life can produce the peace of mind in which love can grow. We can have faith in life without love, but we cannot have love without automatically having faith in life. Fear opposes faith. Love is lost to the degree that fear consumes it. The more we love, the more faith we will have in the oneness of the omniverse/God and ourselves. Almost all fear-based psychological and or spiritual maladies will become apparent in the stillness of peaceful love and can therefore be healed with conscious effort using psychological spiritual principles while breathing love. Love is what we take with us into our unhealed memories to replace ill feelings associated with our past. Love satisfies. Love is its own reward. Love is the means and the end or place of rest in recovery from the broad road to destruction. Actively loving is one of, if not the most enjoyable form of thought-clearing meditation. When we experience rich independent love, we will consciously or unconsciously decide that this is the way we want to live and that negative emotions must be minimized or cleared away to mature in, maintain, and increase our love. Immersing ourselves in or becoming one with the Omniverse/God in complete unconditional love is what cleanses us of all past sins and transgressions as an ultimate gift of contrition. Prodigal child returns home. When we are loving all, we will no longer violate any or all, therefore we are no longer a threat to humanity, nature, God. Jesus has tried and is now continuing to guide us to returning to loving God with all our faculties and being, for the forgiveness of sins and the detachment from ancient/archaic mechanical rituals, dogma, and traditions. God wants our love, or the Omniverse wants us in harmony, as is seen in where our natural instincts guide us. Matt 15:44-46. The kingdom of heaven is like a treasure buried in a field, which a person finds and hides again, and out of joy goes and sells all that he has and buys that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant searching for fine pearls. When he finds a pearl of great price, he goes and sells all that he has and buys it. The effects of media-driven social psychology, manipulation, engineering, and marketing, politics, legal intervention, and religious dictates on public opinion with their tools of guilt, separation, punishment, shame, ridicule, acceptance, rejection, etc., play major roles in deciding for us who and what we can love in society. Public opinion formed by psychological, societal, legal, commercial, political, and religious interests often decides that people, places, and things beyond their prime or out of fashion, and/or not following the party line, and/or violating unverifiable ancient/archaic texts, are no longer lovable and should be replaced by newer ones. When we go to the market or the we gain access to all the current socially acceptable love objects or fads of our society or group. We can get close to them, touch them, and ultimately purchase them so we can love them at home and under our control. That is if we have the money and/or credit and/or the ability and capacity to love them. Marketing and social engineering have cleverly and persistently misled the majority into this limited focus of prejudicial materialistic love, not only using physical planned obsolescence but fads and fashion trending obsolescence. Much of the local and global corruption of positive and practical principles of capitalism would wither and fade if people loved all things without media and/or marketing manipulated compulsion to own or purchase them separate from all else. The unconscious pursuit of harmonious loving union with all through wealth, or fame, materialistic success leads some of those so involved into using large human populations through almost any means possible, only guided by the tolerance limits of those being used, also known as slavery. Humans unconsciously pursue many limited forms of love that will always leave at least traces, if not disastrous quantities, of discontent, while complete harmonious loving union with all is an unlimited path and goal of human satisfaction available to all. Materialism, or the motivation to possess things, is an unconscious drive for love. When we own something, in the words commonly used sense, we can love it fully. Whether we do or not is another story, as we may become more abusive to the things we own because we own them and consider it one of the rights of ownership. No matter how vast your collection of possessions is, it is still limited. Apparently, it will not benefit a person to gain possession of the whole world if we cannot immerse into love with God omniversally. Limited possessions are merely childish spiritual pacifiers for the real nourishing satisfaction in the unlimited, non-possessive materialism of omniversal loving. Stronger the drive for love, or the more suffocated our love is, the more we want to possess or gain access to people, places, and things we can love without conditions. We want to create a place where we are surrounded by things we own and can therefore love. In land, home, or business with all our familiar furnishings, pets, employees, friends and family members or culture. It is a relatively common understanding that we can love common or seemingly ordinary objects with sentimental value, because it was antique, gift from a child or parent or loved one, more than those without. Therefore we have a glimpse into the potential for loving all and seeing all things as having sentimental value or gifts from our Creator and Sustainer. Many of us feel loving communion in natural settings because we are surrounded by things that belong to the same nature that we belong. We are therefore free to love them without limitations or conditions. Privatization or governmental seizure of natural environments may have some value for preservation, yet it can rob humanity of their innate need to be conditionally loving around all things and causes many social and personal ills for those that are alienated by entrance fees, regulations, limitations, and other actual and psychological barriers. Private property and the laws that protect it make universal love more complicated for both those inside the physical or psychological fence and those kept out by it, but not impossible for those few who are able to see beyond or through these barriers. For many, private property is an insurmountable physical and or psychological barrier to unlimited love of the omniverse/God. For others, the currently needed protections granted through private property rights give them a small sanctuary from a world filled with humans seeking everything other than harmonious loving union with all. Potential little private microcosm of omniversal love. Whether we find a stunted and fragmented version of omniversal love or loving God in our TV, igloo, mud hut, cave, sleeping bag, or apartment with limited ownership or with a small home on small acreage or thousands of acres on a ranch or palace with many homes, limited possession on its own will not relieve the instinctive inner drive for complete unlimited love in the omniverse/God. We will also be playing our unconscious role in preventing others from achieving the same satisfaction by defending, guarding, fencing, leasing and segregating our possessions. Private property may have more expansive rewards for those who have much but for those who have little or none and do not have the spiritual understanding of a homeless Jesus or Buddha, life can be emotionally impotent leading to further dysfunction and discontent. This dysfunction and discontent will arise in those with much who come to the realization that they will not be able to possess enough possessions to satisfy the innate yearning for harmonious loving union with all. Globalists, religious fanatics, nations, imperialists, and others believe that if they conquer the entire planet, they will be at peace. Jean-Jacques Rousseau, the first man who, having enclosed a piece of ground, bethought himself of saying this is mine, and found people simple enough to believe him, was the real founder of civil society. From how many crimes, wars, and murders, from how many horrors and misfortunes might not anyone have saved mankind by pulling up the stakes, or filling up the ditch, and crying to his fellows, beware of listening to this impostor, you are undone if you once forget that the fruits of the earth belong to us all, and the earth itself to nobody. We are told that we cannot love another's possessions because of the fear of thievery or damage or adultery. Posted signs, car alarms, banks, locks, guns, punishment, human laws, media manipulated and culturally induced public opinion, indoctrination, social conditioning, schooling, police, divorce courts, fences and many other barriers prevent us from interactively loving among the belongings of others. Of course, if our minds are not pure in love of all with all, then it may be a great idea to keep these barriers in place until we prioritize love and only love. This lack of or limited love will keep us in a chronic state of discontent. We will always feel as though something is missing and it is. We will cling to our material possessions, family members, friends, and pets in an obsessive way because they appear to be the only fragments of the omniverse that we can love. When one of these limited loved ones dies, it is devastating. If a society is propagandized, marketed, or fooled into placing excessive importance on limited material possessions for their happiness and the separation that goes with them, there will be excessive boundaries and laws to protect those possessions and therefore limited, restricted and slash or shallow love within the general population of that society or a love-starved population desperately needing escapes into drugs, alcohol, dysfunction, entertainments, excitement, distractions, etc. We do not need material possessions and property to breath love. We can achieve loving harmony with our world wherever we are. We can achieve this omniversal love in a wheelchair, prison, home, hospital, city, natural environment, or mud hut, no matter how old, intelligent, attractive, educated, successful, or socially acceptable we are. All we need is our basic requirements met with reasonably breathable air and the ability to breathe that air to achieve the most success a human can have in the euphoria of omniversal love or loving God with everything we are. Presence of corruption in all political, social, environmental, and religious arenas of humanity are obvious clues that the words and principles of Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, and other promoters of harmonious loving union with all, not been fulfilled in the majority. Trying to become famous or powerful is an expression of this same yearning within humans for omniversal love. We seek adoration from the crowds or the masses. We want to stand in the middle of the ring, podium, stage, or on camera to love and be loved by all, or as many people as possible to pacify the lack of fulfillment due to the illusion of particle or spiritual separation from all in the omniverse/God. Those who seek harmony with our world through the financial, religious, political, military, psychological, subjugation, manipulation or elimination of people, places, things, and activities that they don't agree with, are lost and dangerous to spiritual loving freedom. Manipulation and control of the outside world is an illusion. We will never achieve control of the omniverse/God. We can control ourselves so that we remain loving and in harmony regardless of the receding of the omniverse/God. We can live an impossible life of futility trying to change all facets of the world around us, or we can do what is possible by adapting to the world around us in love. In the spiritual realm or omniversal energy field, we are one with all whether we are aware of it or not, and can love all things including the possessions of others without wishing to own or covet. This may be the richest and most satisfying emotional condition. Nothing satisfies naturally like complete harmonious loving union with nature, the omniverse/God. In harmonious loving union with all, we do not possess or own anything in the traditional sense, and yet we can love, be loved by and be at one with everything. Our desire to love and be loved is strong and our wisdom limited. We will accumulate many things to love and be limited to our so-called possessions no matter how numerous they are, and feel discontent at some levels because there will always be people, places, and things that we are not allowed to love, be loved by, or that do not reciprocate our love. If our desire to love and be loved is weak and our wisdom limited, we will be poor at many levels and extremely limited within current materialistically structured societies with their strict laws of possession and private property. Psychology, psychiatry, religion, fame, fortune, status, peer pressure, medications, vitamin therapies, eating, drinking, addictions, addict recovery programs, crime, sin, and almost if not all human drives and aversions are influences, actions, reactions, pursuits and goals revolving around the inner drive for the chemical balance and the psychological, emotional, and or spiritual harmony that is achieved in omniversal love or loving God with all our faculties. Survival of the fittest. Natural selection and other evolutionary processes are in alignment with the adaptations brought about by the innate human drive for harmonious loving union with the omniverse/God. Harmonious loving union with the omniverse/nature/God is the fulfillment of our evolutionary drives. Our drives are the drives of the omniverse or God that we are immersed within and are. The omniverse or God guides us from within towards harmonious love and reminds us of who and where we are in the omniverse or God. Restricted breathing due to non-loving thoughts is suffocative hell. Thinking about or entertaining thoughts, images, and/or ideas that generate negative emotions contrary to harmonious love is a spiritual sin. Jesus pointed out many of these spiritual sins of departure from love. Nothing can bother us when we are immersed in love. If something is bothering us, then we must not be in love. Being bothered is a clue we have reconditioning work to do. Being bothered may be the omniverse or God nudging us to return to union with all in love, with God in love. Being bothered is hell. Being in love is heaven. Loving God with all our faculties leaves no room for transgressions. Little children often with no boundaries. They need to be taught to have limits for safety and social acceptance. As adults, we have an opportunity to safely return to the no-boundary loving of the child while remaining reverent towards all as mature adults. Jesus appears to be speaking of this when he directed us to become like little children before we can enter heaven. Nav Luke 18:15-30 People bringing even infants to him that he might touch them. When the disciples saw this, they rebuked them. Jesus, however, called the children to himself and said, "Let the children come to me and do not prevent them, for the kingdom of God belongs to such as these. Amen. I say to you, whoever does not accept the kingdom of God like a child will not enter it." We can return to limitless love and still have respect for the possessions and the laws of possession that guide those with limited wisdom. We would not want to harm anything that we love. We have love and sensitivity for all things around us for God in our living moment. There will be little or no need for human-made laws and the human-on-human punishment that goes with them. We can reach out, emotionally, physically or spiritually, and lovingly touch or caress anything that is near us. Objects that we have in the past agreed were lifeless, loveless, and rejected by us are now shown to be vitally alive, atomically charged energy in constant motion. We are constantly affecting and being affected by the particle motion of all things in and us in this omnipresent living moment. Be aware of the functions of these senses while you read each of the following. Our sense of smell is a particle interaction in our nasal passage with temperatures and chemicals in the air. Our sense of taste is a particle interaction with the taste buds on our tongue and perceptible temperatures and chemicals that encounter those taste buds. Our eyesight is a particle interaction with light between objects and eyes and brain. Our hearing is a particle interaction within our ears with sound waves across the particle space around us. Our sense of touch is a particle interaction with solids, liquids, and gases and their temperature fluctuations that our bodies contact. Our thought processes appear to be particle interactions in our brains in lab experiments and tests. Growth and regrowth of our body components is a particle interchange of food, air, and its waste products. Love is a particle interaction between intimate breathing of the air around us into and out of our lungs, stimulating our love centers and potentially emanating out to all that is near us unless it is focused on a target or idol. Love is the harmonizing of the omniverse or God within us with the omniverse or God that surrounds us in the living moment. All our senses are interactions with particles, energy, or spirit in and around us in the now. Everywhere we go in this world, our bodily particle motion or spiritual energy and spirit/consciousness interacts with the particle motion, energy, or spirit of virtually everything near us and possibly further away. When we are consciously accepting and loving all particle interactions in and around us, we will be accepting and loving the spirit, the omnipresent God of religion, or the atomically charged energy of the universal life force of science. Maintenance of particle harmony with our world or God is our primary motivator and goal. Or we see all things alive with awesome atomically charged particles or energy in constant motion and lovable. Or we realize that we can experience the euphoria of love with all things not actually harmful to our existence, most of the time, wherever we go, without the emotional and slash or spiritual deprivation associated with the limitations of only loving specific persons, places, things, or activities, also known as idolatry. Even people, places, and things, not theoretically or imaginarily, harmful to our physical existence can be loved from the proper distance as inactive volcanoes, sub-zero temperatures, human-eating animals, psychopaths, etc. Another benefit from immersing ourselves in omniversal love or loving God with everything we have is we appear to become connected and slash or receptive to deeper sources of knowledge and power as a radio, television, or phone receives information by tuning into the proper frequencies. We gain access to what might be called intuitive knowledge and slash or inspiration beyond the limits of our reasoning. Try breathing peacefully, conscious of the euphoria of love in your breathing passages, communicating with someone else that is peacefully breathing conscious love, and you will both find yourselves communicating wisdom beyond the people and hearing so to each other. Our mind appears to function at its best, and we are breathing love in harmony with all. Harmonious loving union removes toxic emotions and allows what may be called the divine or the best in us to shine. The moment appears to be eternal. Is the moment eternity? It has always been with us, and there is no reason to believe that it will not be with us, or us with it, whether we are conscious of it or not. The only place to contact life completely is here in this living moment where we are one with our source and sustainer, the atomically charged omniversal energy or spirit of God. That goes for so-called good and bad experiences. This living moment is where we love the living atomically charged Spirit of God with all our heart, mind, soul, and strength. The moment is where we immerse ourselves into harmonious loving union with the atomically charged vital energy or life in the universal world. The living moment is the omniverse, great I am, God or life itself. Our witness or consciousness within, that sees the world around us from behind our eyes and is observing these words in this present moment. Our consciousness that has been with us since childhood, unchanged regardless of the passage of time. The same awareness that travels and witnesses our dreams also witnesses all our experiences, memories, and projections in the moment. That consciousness has not aged or is ageless, regardless of your physiological age, size, or condition. Your future and past are imaginary or images in the mind. You can play with space-time at this moment while thinking about the past and the future, if you wish, but please refocus in the current moment when you are done. Our love center or emotional heart and our awareness are hinged in the moment. We love in the moment. We feel in the moment. We perceive things in the moment. We think in the moment. We remember in the moment. Even feelings associated with past or future events are experienced or re-experienced in the moment. To reapply a Joe Louis quote, you can run but you cannot hide from the moment. Many or most people try and have tried to escape the moment through a wide variety of distractions with only temporary illusions of escape. If our awareness is experiencing and focused, we will be in the living, and if the living moment is eternal, then we could possibly spend eternity at one with or in love with the living moment, for the rest of our current lives on earth. Consciously loving life as it is now in this living moment is where we achieve and perceive maximum intimacy with the atomically charged particles of omniversal energy or the Spirit of God using all our senses. The living moment is where we meet God, the omniverse, our Maker, the living. The euphoria of love is experienced at its maximum in this, possibly eternal, present moment. being at one with, in tune with, in love with, or in harmony with the atomically charged omniversal live energy or spirit of God that surrounds us and is us wherever we go as we move with life, or the living in this moment may be the highest, most complete, fully alive form of living and the ultimate conscious or unconscious goal or fulfillment of religion, evolution, psychology, psychiatry, recovery, and all of our basic needs. The yearning for heaven is the yearning for harmonious loving union with the omniverse/God. Theoretical or actual heaven and hell are extremes of attraction and aversion in the natural laws or guides of pleasure and pain. This enlightenment, evolutionary fulfillment, state of grace, nirvana, at one with God, chemical balance, submission, being in the zone, harmonious loving union with all, spiritual well-being, good spiritual condition, spirituality, return to the Garden of Eden by eating from the tree of life, etc. is a human's primary drive while alive on this earth, whether we are consciously pursuing it or consciously repressing it, or it is being unconsciously pursued by us as a person that swims underwater, seeks to return to the surface to breathe. We will consciously or unconsciously feel either minutely or painfully suffocated in body, mind, emotions, and spirit until we achieve and maintain loving union with the omniverse/God in the living moment. Religions and other ideologies that offer heaven, nirvana, etc., and freedom from the pain and suffering of hell are and have been the most attractive of the belief systems because they call out to the evolutionary inner knowing and dictates of our being that drive us away from fruitless suffering toward loving harmony with all here on this earth. Our instincts to survive, procreate, remove a stone from our shoe, and defend ourselves and our loved ones and resources may appear to overwhelm all other drives in phases of our life, but the ultimate instinct that all of these and additional minor drives are subordinate to or contribute to or disrupt, is achieving and maintaining harmonious loving union with nature, the omniverse/God. The satisfactions of human needs are attempts by our being to orchestrate, achieve, and maintain loving union with all. The deeper we go in harmonious loving union with the omniverse/God, the more we will relinquish our grasp on egotism and materialism and all the negative chemistry inherent in the Pandora's box of disturbing thoughts and the emotions that poison life. When all are in harmonious loving union, there will be no social classes that indicate better or worse, higher or lower. All will be fulfilled and find their natural place in society without arrogance, isolation, prejudice, conflict, envy, or shame. We will only want to be ourselves in the euphoric love that we have become and allow others the same freedom to love and be who they are, as they are, while they are maturing, trying to mature, and when they mature. Romans 13:8-10. Owe nothing to anyone, except to love one another, for the one who loves another has fulfilled the law. The commandments: you shall not commit adultery, you shall not kill, you shall not steal, you shall not covet, and whatever other commandment there may be, are summed up in the saying, namely, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Love does no evil to the neighbor, hence, love is the fulfillment of the law. 1 Peter 4:8. Above all, let your love for one another be intense, because love covers a multitude of sins. The proverbial grass will not be greener in someone else's backyard. The vitality of atomically charged energy or spirit is similar wherever we are. There is no need to be somewhere else. If somewhere else looks more appealing to us, without the actual need to escape danger or environmental extremes and toxicity, then our return to harmonious loving union with all is not complete. Theoretically, there are no places in our world that atomic particles have more life or less energy than where we are now. Humanity can foster and allow all people to practice this loving and harmonious sensitivity for all in this atomically charged omniversal energy or spirit of God. We are all interrelated and interconnected whether we accept this or not. We are all one in omniversal energy or God's spirit, and it would behoove us to love all that we are a part of. We can be more accepting of this inseparable oneness while participating in our inescapably innate and primary yearning for loving oneness. Individuals will live their own autonomous personal experience of harmonious loving union with the omniverse/God wherever they find themselves. Someone else cannot live it for you. The group, sect, nation, race, culture, religious and political leaders, or family may help or hinder our awareness of our pre-existing, ever-present particle interaction with the omniversal world or spirit of God, but sooner or later we will have to allow full individual autonomy for ourselves and those who have reverence and love for all. Some people may feel that guidance may be necessary to a point in our development, as children, or spiritual children, yet continued guidance beyond this point becomes interference with the individual's autonomous loving intimacy of and with their source and sustainer. We do not want to clip the proverbial psychological or spiritual wings of anyone interested in spiritual flight into the freedom and euphoria of omniversal love of all in the omniverse/God. Narrow is the gate of knowing and loving God omniversally. Broad is the path of anger, insecurity, misguidance, misinterpretation, anxiety, fear, doubt, delusions, hatred, jealousy, lust, greed, contempt, ignorance, arrogance, deaf, dumb, and blind cultural or religious narcissism, etc. All races or ethnicities of all ages or genders can achieve harmonious loving union with the omniverse or God, but not all cultures, religions, belief systems, ideologies, thought structures, or paths will. Most have become snares or spiritual prisons. When we love all in the omniverse/God, everything is love or lovable. Therefore the term God is love is true for the lover of all. God is light.
All right, there's the God is Love chapter from Will to Flower. The title speaks of this. We all have a will to flower. Anyway, I let um, the computer generated voice uh, go to start the next chapter, but I'll have to drop back. I have a God is light. I may include God is light. I probably will include God is light and God is a consuming fire. Two biblical statements that were made about God, searching for who God was and what God was. But the next chapter may include both. God is light and God is consuming fire, because they both have some similarities, fire and light. Anyway, all right, so that's one more chapter. We'll go on to the next one shortly, and I won't see you on the next one, but maybe you'll hear the voice of the computer on the next one. All right, adios.